All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday to you. It is Friday, October 16th, 2020. And man, do I have a special treat for you guys this morning. I got my boy from high school. Back in my high school days, we used to call him Bruiser. You guys will know him as Williams James, former NFL star. Man, the dude is giving back to the community, doing incredible, incredible things in the world. And I'm looking forward to introducing this guy to you guys and telling you a little bit about his story. I think it will be inspirational, motivational, and everything you need to start your Friday off right. So let's get started. It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up. Oh, yeah, man. There he is. Man, we got some Uniontown people on here already, man.
Yeah.
Dominic Sabatini, Mike Rosgoni, our homie.
My guy, Mike. What's up, Mike?
So good morning to everybody, and thank you guys for joining us here this morning, man. This is a special one. I've known this guy since 1996, right? Something like that. When did you come to Laurel Highlands? What year was it that you came?
96.
96. So known this guy since 1996. 1997, we both graduated from the same high school, and this dude took off on a journey that was like crazy, man. It was cool. It was cool to be a person in my situation, man, because you got like, even though you were off doing your thing, I felt like I had a front row seat, right, to what was going on. And so why don't you start, man? I'll start by just asking you, tell us about your early days. So kind of from childhood, growing up in Brownsville, correct?
Right.
Growing up in Brownsville, all the way to kind of your journey to Laurel Highlands, and then we'll dig into the juicy stuff once you got to college here in a second.
I the interesting thing about my journey as a youth is I moved around a lot. I went to 2 different junior highs and I went to 4 different high schools. Okay, so I went to Gobble. I went to a high school called Amphi out there on the West Coast in Arizona. In Tucson, I went to Brownsville my junior year, and then I went to Laurel Highlands, obviously my senior. And then in middle school, I also went to 2 different schools. I went to Brownsville, and I went to a junior high out there in Arizona. And so I moved around a lot, and I think that ended up being one of the things that helped me get out of Brownsville, because I knew that there was something outside of here. And I always look back at that because people always ask, was it hard, or what was the difficulties with that? I learned a lot about people, right? I learned a lot about what moves people, right? And I learned that I can also be competitive outside of Brownsville, because when I went to Amphi, and I don't want to get long-winded with this, but when I went to Amphi, I had the blessing, right, of joining a team that had a renowned world-class coach in Amphi. And that was my sophomore year. And I remember they had a tradition like no other. When I walked into the gym, they had guys up on the wall that had succeeded, right, in athletics. Mario Bates, Michael Bates, John Volpe, those guys. And I would look these guys up, and they were being successful in the world, and they had their picture on the wall that they had walked these same steps. And that experience, I think that experience, more than anything else that happened in my young adult or my youth, that propelled me and that sparked me to believe that I could do something special, or I could get to college playing sports. Yeah. So my younger days, like I said, it would be characterized by moving a lot, but then those special moments kind of happen at the right times that allowed me to go from Laurel Highlands to Michigan. And I'm gonna add one thing to that, because I think it's important. Coming from Brownsville, you have a lot of people that doubt you. One, and it's a small community, and And for whatever reason that is, we can get into the intangibles about all of that. But the doubt is there, and it's a real hurdle. It's a mental hurdle that you got to get over, right? Because you got people telling you that you're less than, you're not as good as this, that, and the third. And inside you're believing like, man, I could really do something special. I feel like I got the ability, but they're telling you, and you're comparing yourself against this word, and am I crazy? But along the route, I had those people pull me to the side and give me that, you know what, you have something, you have an ability, you have a talent, focus on that talent. And that was enough for me to say, okay, when I came back here and eventually left from here to go to Laurel Highlands, to go to Michigan, I had enough confidence to overcome the naysayers and the doubters that was in the community. Go ahead.
I call that the crabs in the bucket, man. You ever hear that analogy? I think I mentioned it to you when we met up here a little bit ago, but it's,
yes.
You know, when you think about this, and this is a good thing for everybody that's listening, you know, people, it's not that people don't want you to succeed. It's they don't want you to leave them, right? They see somebody that they care about or somebody that's maybe inspirational to them, possibly leaving their proximity. And so they subconsciously are telling you these things, right? Because number one, they've been told to them. And so they're repeating a lot of the things that they have heard.
Yes.
So when they were kids, they were told, man, you're great, but you're from a small town, so don't get your hopes up, that kind of thing. And that is that's a normal behavior in human beings. It's like, we want those people that we care about that are in our proximity. We want them to stay there. And so I say that a lot, even our parents, like they don't want us to be away from them. So they're not trying to hold us back. However, they want us to stay close, right? Subconsciously for their own well-being, their own benefit, right? And so from time to time, those things will hold you back if you don't, like you said, have somebody outside of that pushing you. And we're going to dig into how you're trying to do that for other people here in a little bit. But so at what point, I was thinking about this morning and wondering, at what point in your high school career, let's say, I would assume it was probably in high school, did you know, like, man, I got something here athletically that I think I can make something of, and like this I have a real shot at going somewhere?
It was in Amphi.
Yeah,
I remember it clearly. I remember when I first got there. I got to Amphi like right before the season, and I had to run. They didn't even play sophomores on the varsity team. The sophomores played on the JV. I mean, the sophomores played on the JV, right? And then the ninth graders played on the freshman squad. So we had numbers, 5,000 people in the school. Yeah. So I remember walking right down to the campus. As soon as I got in, I pulled in, living with my mother at the time. I ran up there. They said, well, sophomores don't play for the varsity. We'll give you a test to see where you're going to land at, right? So I had to run around the track a couple of times. They made me do a mile, and I must have been flying, right? Because when I came back in, they were like, okay, we're going to try you on the varsity. Okay. So they tried me on the varsity. I was in the backfield with guys that were going to college, right? I was on a team with guys that were going to college. I was in a program with guys that had went to college, come back, talk to the kids, and I'm seeing that this could be real. After that season, I came back to Brownsville, but I was getting letters. I started getting letters from Nebraska, Oklahoma, And so when I'm on my way back here, it's like you can't tell me that I'm not going, because it's up to me right now, right? All I got to do is work at this point, and I put in the work, But at that point, I got to Brownsville, and the interesting part of that is I got to Brownsville, and the next year I played as a junior. That year I didn't make all county, all conference, none of that, right? This is my junior year in the Ville. So after the season's over, this is the season's over probably December, right? Then you get the accolades and all that in January. So my junior year, after I played for Brownsville, going into my senior year, I had no all county, all conference, none of that. And there was a big go back between the coach and I, and my family, my Uncle Frank, who stood up on my behalf, was like, no, the boy, he's been playing his heart out. I didn't even make whatever. That's in the old days. I don't want to be Michael Jordan up here crying about something something that happened back when I was 6 years old, right? But I didn't get any accolades, and that could have killed me, right? That could have killed my self-esteem,
your spirit.
Right. It could have killed my spirit, right? But that was January after my junior year, right? No accolades. My Uncle Frank decides to take me to a bunch of different camps. We go to the West Virginia camp, we go to the Michigan camp, and at every camp I'm going to, right, it's 3 to 5 day camps. They're telling me to leave the first day. I'm doing whatever I got to do. They're telling me to leave the first day. Tell them Uncle Frank, take him home, right? Because there were so many other coaches there from different colleges. They didn't want them all to see me. So Michigan said, well, you got a scholarship. You can go home. And to me, it was like, and I was thinking about this yesterday too, when I was looking at that picture of me at Michigan. I didn't really believe I was going to Michigan until I think Coach Carr came to see me at high school, at the school. Then that was really real. Like I said, Dad, like that's the head coach. He came to see me. Was that important for him? You know what I mean? For him to show up to come and see me. I'm going to Michigan because I was just told that I wasn't even good enough to make all county. You know what I mean? I was second team or whatever. I wasn't even good enough to do this, but I was at Michigan, right? And so those things lingered with me at first. We had the #1 recruiting class in the nation my freshman year. #1. That means #1 running back, A-Train. We had the #1 DBs. We had receivers. We had the #1 freshman class, and I was a nobody, right? Because I was in 4 different high schools, all over the place, right? But here I was. And so in my mind, I'm like, do I belong here? You know, that self-doubt kind of creeps in when you're about to do something different.
Isn't that wild, man? How you know, we just talked about that this week in our meeting with our company. Was like that feeling of like when you start to get something that's outside of your comfort zone, like when you start to make real progress, how your mind will literally make you question whether you belong there or not.
Yeah.
And so subconsciously you could start to walk yourself backwards because you don't feel like it's out of your comfort zone. You don't feel like maybe you belong there. It's
and
really
so many people have probably told you more often than that you do belong.
Yes.
They told you all your life that you don't, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so you got to fight. Those are the mental battles that you got to fight all the time on that road to success.
Yep. So let's dig in. And I know from our previous conversation, but I want to have this for everybody to understand just the value of what a person, a mentor, a coach can be to you in your life. I want to ask you, like, you know, kind of what did Coach Carr mean to you over a period of time? You know, that guy came into your life. You know, I looked it up this morning. He was a new coach at Michigan when he recruited you, right? And
he's a new head coach, but go ahead.
Right. And I know that, you know, he made an impact on you, but I want to unpack that because I want people to realize the value of having that mentor and what that can do for your perspective in life and on your journey of finding difficulties and having that right person to guide you in the right direction and actually care for you, right?
That's important. The care part is really important, you know, because people do it for self-interest and all kinds of different things. But Coach Carr was one. We had a different kind of relationship. It was a tough love relationship because he seen something in me and he was trying to pull it out. And he wanted to make sure that I was staying on the straight and narrow. I believe that in my heart. Mm-hmm. And I've had those guys throughout my career, those coaches that I take attributes from. Anyway, me and Coach Carr, we used to get up. Well, I used to have to get up and meet him at 5 o'clock every morning at the stadium. I was getting in so much trouble at Michigan. He said I was on, I forget, it was like some kind of probationary period, but I had to meet him every morning at 5 o'clock to run the stadium stairs. And so I would party, right? I'd go out with the guys, party, then I'd tell them to drop me off at the stadium. I'd sleep in the Gators. Yeah, right. It'd be winter time, right? I'm in the back sleeping in the Gator, coming from a party, whatever. I hear the keys hit that gate. He always have his dog with him. I pop up, hit the stadium steps. You always think I'm not there, but I end up being there. But through those experiences, I gained a great respect for him. because it made it like a father-son relationship. You know, I knew the discipline that he had to do in order to keep the team right, keep me in order, and I respected that. And even we had a reunion a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, I think now, 3 or 4 years ago. But in talking, he pulled me to the side and said, and everybody has to know Coach Carter, know how I'm about to say this. You started as a true freshman for the national champions, Michigan Wolverines. You're a champion forever. You know what I mean? That kind of, and in that moment, that's all he had to say, right? That lingers with me to the day. You're a champion forever. And those guys that played on that team, being a champion is like you learn so many principles and life lessons on that journey to be a champion. Yeah.
List a few of the guys that were on that team.
Oh,
there was one guy that comes to mind that was riding the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
I think his name's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, right?
Was riding the bench while you were on the field.
Right.
Playing as a true freshman, winning a national championship.
Right.
Charles Woodson.
Man, we had some Hall of Famers on that team.
Yes.
You know? And even bunch of all-pro guys. We got Mo Williams, John Jansen, Jeremy Tooman that was with the Steelers, right, on that team. Brian Greasy. We had so many. Even Drew Henson. You can go Ty Streets, Clarence Williams. I mean, I can name a bunch that end up making it to the NFL and making a splash. But yeah,
Tom freaking Brady was riding the bench.
yeah.
I mean, you think about that, it's just crazy, right? And I was looking at the statistics this morning of like, you know, number one, you know, obviously from Michigan, you know, you bounced around a little bit in college too. Ended up, you know, at what was your last stop? It was
Western Illinois.
Yep. And, you know, I looked it up this morning. 2% of college football players actually make the NFL.
Right.
2%. And then the average NFL career is only 3.3 years.
Right.
So when you think about that, you know, I want to kind of go back to draft day, right? It's draft day for you. And I know that, you know, through some of the challenges that you had, again, bouncing around from college to college, and people, you know, you had told me when we met that, you know, there was some questions, not about your athletic ability, not about your ability on the field, but some questions about, you know, your character, basically, you know?
Right.
And so you ultimately, from an athletic ability standpoint, would have been a first-round draft pick.
Right.
And so on draft day, can you describe kind of that anxiety or that, you know, that feeling that you have waiting to see, you know, when your name is called? Or was it a question of if your name was going to be called? Did you feel like that?
You know, as the rounds tick off, you know what I mean, as the picks kind of tick.
That's a long wait.
yeah. Each pick, couple minutes. And, you know, I remember I was down in Virginia Beach with one of my brothers. I was down there and sitting around, and it had hit the third round, and I took a walk. And when I was taking my walk, I got a call from the Giants, third round. And it was unbelievable, right? It's one of those things. It's like, okay, like this is really happening. But this time it was kind of different. I think when I was going to Michigan, I was questioning my abilities a little bit until I got amongst the fellas and I seen how I was able to not only hold my own, but even lead. But when I was picked, I remember when I was being picked third round, I was excited, but I was angry too, right? I had a point to prove at that moment because I felt like I was better than the guys that had gotten picked, right? I felt like I was just as good or better than, but I also realized, okay, I got these issues, but wait, when it's time to go on this field, I'm gonna show and prove. Yeah.
And you did, because as a third round draft pick, you started all six, or you started 5 games, played all 16 games as a rookie.
Right. I started the first game out, which is a big deal, and I think they did that because I demonstrated I was ready. I was ready to go. I was ready to go.
What number overall pick were you?
I can't remember. I can't remember. I used to think it was, I think 127. If that's the third round even anymore, it's maybe 127. Yeah.
Well, to prove to everybody that the number pick you are doesn't matter, this guy played for how many years?
10 years.
10 years. And to prove further that it doesn't matter, Tom Brady was picked number 199.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I think that's important for people to hear, because, there's going to be plenty of people, man, that they don't get what they want. And I think that, if I think back in my life, dude, to the times that really shaped me the most, that taught me the most, it was when I didn't get what I wanted. Right. And when you think about that, you got what you wanted, maybe going to Michigan. And then when you got to Michigan, that was very challenging, right? Like, you went through challenging times. You got to a point where you weren't getting what you wanted, right? It redirected you to somewhere else. But it's that fire that gets lit from adversity, man, that makes the flame burn so bright, that I believe brings out the best in people. It's those people that have a smooth path, man, like, they can't handle adversity. It's one of the things, I'd be interested to hear your perspective on this one. It's one of the things that I think in our children today, that parents try to protect them so much from adversity, that as they grow up and they start to hit real adversity, let's say just past college, if they haven't really hit any adversity, or they haven't had to do, those things that are tough, it literally is 10 times more challenging to them because of how they've been raised, right? They haven't been exposed to enough adversity. So to give you guys some background, Will has a program in his hometown, so it's very close to where I grew up. Believe it or not, my grandmother's house is on the same street as the shop that he is sitting in right now. Just amazing, man. That gave me chills when we figured that out a few months ago here. But so he is invested in the youth of his hometown, and it's amazing to watch, man. It's been a joy to watch that on social media and to just see that start to grow, man. And I can see the vision that you have for that duplicating and just reaching far, man, because, our kids need that stuff. They need, as we were saying before we jumped on here, they need that person that can help guide them, that can shorten that cycle of adversity for them, right? Because everybody's going to hit adversity, but how long you spend thinking about the fact that you were drafted in the third round before you get back to work to prove people wrong.
Right.
That comes from mentorship. It comes from those deposits that Coach Carr maybe made in you, or some other coach along the way. Right.
Right.
And, I'm interested to see what your thought is on, the youth part of that today, how you see the youth dealing with or not dealing with some of that adversity, and what you think mentorship can do for the future of our youth.
I spend a lot of time with the youth. I'm on the ground, right? I'm on the ground here. And it's interesting because before I got here, you got a vision, right? You have this vision, and it's going to work out this way, and this is going to be the end goal. And that thing changes when you get on the ground. You know what I mean? And you got to adapt and adjust, right? So at first, it took a lot of patience for me dealing with all the youth that were coming in, and the things that I was counting as normal. Like, I came straight from the NFL, where I'm around self-motivators who believe, right? They have faith, they believe, they have a goal. So I'm right by the police station.
I hear that.
But they have a goal, and they know how to get to it, and they've done it before. Here, you're dealing with a population of youth, again, like I was, a population of youth that have been told that they cannot, right? And that they're coming from a place that doesn't produce anything. And you know, our football team, right? We lose at the high school, and we lose here, we lose there, and it's over for you, right? If you don't get out of here, it's over for you. Excuse me, and it's almost impossible to get out of here. And so what I found was early on, just me being here as a person that got over the wall, right? The mental wall, which is high. It's a wall there, and it's an invisible wall, and you run into it, boom, 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 and these kids are trying to get out, boom, boom, running into this wall of doubt, negativity, etc., etc. And me just being here, having been on the other side of the wall and coming back in, just tells them that they can get over the wall immediately, right? To some. Now to others, you got to let them know that, yo, there's a wall here. You know, there's a wall here that you're going to have to get over if you want to get out of here. And it's going to be a hard fight, right? It's not going to be, it's somebody's just not going to pick you up and drop you on the other side, right? There's going to, you have to go through the fire, you know, and we all do. Anybody in business, anybody successful in life in any fashion, you have a dream, you have these obstacles you got to overcome to get to where you got to go. And what I'm seeing now, and it's a delight to me, I'm seeing kids get over the wall, right? I'm seeing kids get over the wall, and they're running, they're out.
Gives me,
you know what I'm saying?
Gives me chill.
Yeah.
You're the lighthouse, man.
You know, I you know me well enough to know I deflect a lot of the praise and all that kind of stuff, because I think as a football player I was taught certain things, and one of them is never read your press clippings, right? You can be defeated by success.
Yeah.
Right. And so I always feel like, man, I know I didn't do this. Right. I was given a vision. It's like you go stand in that position, you go stand in that position, you go stand in that position, and I wouldn't stood for me. Right. I wouldn't stood, and I'm standing, and no, it's not been okay. I'm just here and everything is peachy. It doesn't happen like that. I've already prepared my mind that when I hit Brownsville, I was going to face some challenges, right? And I did. And it's going to be ongoing. But me facing my challenges in front of the youth,
yes,
I feel like does something else as well, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to jump in the fire too, right? You're not alone. You're fighting the battle, but I'm over here. Yeah.
We call that getting forged, brother, in the Steel City, right?
Exactly.
They take
I like
steel and they forge it, and what they do is they let it sit in the fire, and that is what life is all about, man. It's about, you know, those people that are able to withstand that fire and stay there, and in some way, what your journey has taught you. This is from my perspective, and why I have so much respect for you. Your journey has taught you how to be comfortable in that fire. Like just to sit there, and whatever that fire, you know, whatever it becomes, whatever comes your way.
I'm still with you. Hold on.
Oh, lost him for a second. But it is important, guys, to realize that whatever comes your way, you know, that fire, it is important for you to be able to stand in that fire. And this is a guy that, you know, we grew up in the same area. We grew up in the same town. We grew up in a place where, to his point, there was not a lot of people that made it out. So I don't know. We might be able to hear you, man. We can't see you, but we can
you hear me
here and just finish up. I can hear you. I just can't see you. Yep.
Okay, great.
So, but no, I was just saying, man, we grew up in a place where, you know, it's not always the easiest to, you know, get, like you said, get over that wall, right? And people, you know, they want to keep you close. They want to keep you, you know, in that space with them. And, you know, that's challenging mentally to get over that. But I want to ask you one last question here, man, and then I'll let you go. I know you got things to do today, but advice for, you know, young athletes, for people that are, you know, maybe trying to make it, or for those people that are just in business that are trying to make it. What advice would you give them when they hit adversity?
I mean, it's easy to say fight through, but I look at it as you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Coach told me one time that being uncomfortable is the first stage of progress. Being uncomfortable is the first stage of progress. And so if I got a minute left or a couple of seconds left, I want to thank you for pulling me up out of my comfort zone, because you know how I feel about these podcasts, and it was a great experience with you. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that, and I appreciate you pushing and pulling and
My
dragging.
pleasure. I wasn't going to stop till you agreed. I wasn't going to stop till you agreed, and that's true, man. And it's a great example. It's a great testament. You know, this is a guy that when I hear his story, it's funny because, you know, I was on that journey with you, you know, in high school, like, you know, an observer, right? A silent observer. But when I hear you say, like, man, I must have been fast running around that track, like as a spectator sitting in the stands, walking the halls of high school with you, like, you know, you clearly didn't realize what you had. And I would tell you that I still don't think that you realize fully the power that you have, you know, and that's what makes you great, man. It's what makes you special, is that humble nature attracts people. You know, it allows people to have comfort talking to you. You know, a lot of people would be intimidated by someone who has accomplished what you have accomplished and been to the levels you've been to. But you have a way about you, just a humble nature about you that allows people to be comfortable, you know, and that is a talent that you want to be passing along to as many children in our world as you can, because that's how we make the world a better place again, you know, and person by person, kid by kid, we can make an impact. I do want to share real quick. So you guys, somebody commented on your shirt, man. They said, man, great shirt. So I want you to tell them where they can buy the shirts. So he has a clothing line called Team Humanity.
Yes.
And I would encourage you guys, I'll pop it in the comments here, but I would encourage you guys to go and support that. Purchase some things for your kids, for yourself, for everybody. The holiday season is coming up. So what is the web address that they can go to, man? And then I'll pop it in the comments too.
It's shop, SHOP, teamhumanity.com. Shop Team Humanity. And we appreciate all the love and support. You know, we give 10% back to our community. We're building a center here that's going to be, I think it's going to be pivotal for our community. And we only got a few more steps to go. So all of that helps. You know, we teach here to the kids. We don't want to, at least in Team Humanity, we're not a 501c3. We're a for-profit.
Right.
And so we teach our kids that we can make things to sell in commerce. And that's what we do, right? So this shirt that I got on this morning, we just made this yesterday.
That's awesome, man.
And it's not even online yet, so we're gonna put it online, and you'll be able to purchase it by this evening.
Awesome, man. I'll have that in the collection for sure. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to step out of your comfort zone and to shine that light to more people, you know, outside of Brownsville. And I would encourage you, man. It was a great time this morning. You did fantastic, brother. So you got a future in this stuff. I told him, just so you guys know, I told him the difference between him helping all these kids in Brownsville and being able to help millions is to continue to get uncomfortable doing things like this and to use your story, your voice, for the good that God intended it to be used for. So I appreciate you, man. I love you, brother. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story.
I appreciate you too, B. Much love to you and the fam.
Thank you, man. We'll talk soon, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. And I'll see you again Monday morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys.